Hi, welcome to Positively Sparking, a podcast on internet marketing, online productivity and business. Today I'm with Joe Harrison, expert VA and client manager of Positive Sparks, and we're going to go through our favourite apps for the month of October. Hey Joe, welcome to the podcast.
I was about to say morning, it's evening.
It's definitely evening. Do your clocks go back in France this weekend too?
Yes, they do. Yeah, which means it'll be light when I wake up in the morning rather than dark.
Yeah, well, which do you prefer then? Do you like it being lighter in the mornings and darker in the evenings?
It depends. If it gets dark too early and I've not walked the dogs, that's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't really want to walk them in the dark. So I'm hoping that my routine is not going to be shifted next week because the clocks go back.
Hopefully not. We shall see. So given that when it gets darker, we spend more time inside, which means that everyone will have more time to play with the apps that we're going to mention this month.
Exactly, yeah.
So this is the benefit. So Joe, what's the first app that people should check out on a dark winter's night?
Okay, so I'm going to start with an app called Station, which you've been using as well. And it's a brand new app, so it's not been around for very long. And I can't even remember where I found it. It just popped up somewhere on the internet. And what it is basically is like a workstation where you can have all the different apps you use in one place. So it's pretty much like having a Google Chrome browser with all of the tabs open, and each one of those tabs being one of your apps that you use on a daily basis. And when I set it up, I literally put everything that I use into it. I added everything. I mean, they've got so many apps, there's like 300 different apps that you can add to this one workspace. But recently what I've done is when I bought a new iMac, to tell everybody that I got a new iMac recently.
It's a very flashy one too, I can vouch for that.
So what I've done is when I've installed Station on my new iMac, I kind of cherry picked which apps I was going to put on there. Because having all the apps on there, you end up with notifications sort of dinging off everywhere. So I've now got my main apps that I use every day in Station, and you can just easily flick through them. All the notifications come up in Station for all these apps, so you can easily see if you've got a WhatsApp message, if you've got a notification on Slack, and I just find it really easy because it's all in one place. I mean, there's other advantages as well with Station. For example, I use it with Google Drive, and we have a lot of sheets. We have a lot of sheets between us for our client work, and you can star the ones that you use the most, and they're kept in like a bookmark section of the workstation, basically, and you can easily just flick through them, which I find brilliant, rather than having to try and log into Drive and try and find the sheet you're working on. It's just there straight away.
Definitely so. And Station is an app there's been quite an interesting thing for you and I in the last week or two, because you jumped onto it right away.
Yeah.
And in your greater enlightenment and wisdom over me, you understood what it was trying to do right away and loved it and everything else. And I didn't quite have that experience, as you know.
No, you got quite frustrated with it.
I did. But what I'm going to say is, as of today, I think it's really good. So every day, what I use it for is really to have all my communication channels in one place. So that's email, we're on Slack, Facebook Messenger, Twitter. Everything is there in that one place. So any kind of communication that comes through, I can quickly get to. Brilliant. Yeah. Really, really good. Where it hasn't quite worked for me is in AdWords, analytics, anything which is more technical. Yeah. It hasn't quite delivered in the same way. And one of the reasons for that is because my Google Calendar and Gmail account are on a personal Google account, whereas our AdWords Analytics, Google Tag Manager is on a company account that we all access, so they're different logins. And I've found that Station struggles when it changes a login on the same platform.
Yeah, I had the same problem with when I tried to add AdWords. It just I couldn't get out of it logging into my own personal AdWords rather than the one that I needed to be in.
Yeah, so there we go. So we've had the same experience there. And the same happens on Facebook. So on Facebook, I can log in to my personal account, but all of our client work is in a Business Manager.
Yeah.
Which is separate. So that's where, to me, Station has one or two issues to get over. And I do sometimes find that it crashes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
I've not had it crash on me yet.
Especially when it just launches in the morning.
Okay.
That's probably because I'm getting so many thousand spam emails or something. Who knows?
Yeah, probably.
But that aside, it is a daily great thing that I'm using. So, thank you for putting me onto that. You're saying things like starring things, which already means you're using it in ways that I am not, which again is a common thing that we find in our working life. So just tell us a bit more about what you found in terms of extra functionality.
Okay, so I think probably last week I was getting a lot of notifications, admittedly a lot from my boyfriend on WhatsApp. And last week I just found I was being overwhelmed by notifications. So the good thing in Station, which I've used quite a bit now, is when I'm working on something, when I'm doing a particular task, which is going to take me half an hour, in Station you can actually turn off all the notifications, and it's called focus. And you can choose an amount of time that you want to focus for, and it won't notify you of anything for that time, which I found is brilliant. And I turn it on quite a lot now. And then I can just deal with the notifications when I come back. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I've noticed as well, it's and it actually says on their website, it actually intelligently manages your memory. So it's like Chrome will completely wreck your memory of your computer if you've got lots of tabs open. Station uses less memory, and I think what it does is I've noticed is it kind of puts to sleep some of the apps. So for example, when I click on Todoist, sometimes it's not immediate, and it kind of takes a couple of seconds to load up. So I think how they've managed that is by putting the apps to sleep. So yeah, I mean, they're my favourite. I mean, the favourite part of Station for me is that it's all in one place. I can turn off all the notifications at once, and I can star things on Google Drive, which I found really useful. And they've got a great search functionality as well, so I can search for anything on there and in a document or an app, and it'll bring it up.
I'm also using the focus feature, which is fantastic. I agree with that. And I think what it's also done for me is it's stopped me opening Slack, Toggle, Gmail in a Chrome browser, tab. And so instead of having all these several apps open, it's just on the one, which is a great thing. And you can say to everything, just be quiet for a bit. Yeah. Let me do something. So I agree with you that the focus is a great feature, and one that I've been using too, which is probably why you can't find me.
Yeah, and the same reason you can't find me.
There we go. There's no one working on Positive Sparks. But the starring I haven't done. So I think that's something I've jotted down myself, and I'm going to act like I've actually been listening to the podcast and go and do it.
I think you could probably do the same with Dropbox if you add Dropbox on there as well, which I've not done yet. So yeah, I mean, there's so many apps that you can add on to here. I've not really been through the whole list to see if there's anything else that would be useful. I just recently added Facebook Messenger, but I'm starting to regret that now.
Because you get so many Facebook messages.
Well, no, but it's not work related, so it does end up I've been notified of messages from friends and parents and James.
and what have you. And you're so much more popular than me, you see. So this is the big issue for you.
Well, I go on Facebook. You never go on Facebook apart from to reply to things.
It's true. It's very true. So do you one thing I found wasn't there was BusyBot. And
Yeah, BusyBot's not there yet, no.
As we're going to tweet at Station, that is the app I would most like them to add next.
Yeah, I think I requested it. There's a request button on there, and I think that was one of the ones I requested. So, yeah, we'll remind them on Twitter.
We shall do that. Great stuff. So where can we go and find Station?
When you Google it, in fact, it doesn't really come up at all. So they may need some PPC help. But the actual URL is getstation.com.
Perfect. And what is the cost of Station?
It is absolutely free.
Which isn't that good?
It's brilliant.
For what it is, I think is excellent.
Yeah, I hope they don't start charging.
Well, I have a feeling that might be the intention one day. But for now,
it's free.
Let's enjoy it.
Yeah.
So speaking of free apps, the two that I'm going to talk about are also free right now.
Okay.
So whereas you've gone for productivity, which is your great expertise, I've gone for 2 Google Analytics apps.
Okay.
And the first one is quite similar to an app we discussed a couple of months ago called Aribi.
Okay.
And Aribi was an app that took all your data in Google Analytics and presented it in a more digestible format.
Okay.
So it would say things like 70% of your referrals are from returning visitors. You should do remarketing. Things of that kind. Or it would say that this week there's been an increase in button clicks that you want to monitor. And so Needle is quite similar. So it sort of tries to do the same things, just in a different presentation format. And so the idea behind Needle is that you connect your Google Analytics account, and then it splits little insights of data into different categories. So they are best converting, weak converting, high impact, and most actionable.
Okay.
And all of these little points are designed to help you enhance your marketing or to go make changes on your site because something isn't working.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about Needle is the really snappy points, that they're represented both in words and graphically. So it will show you things like let's say, Jo Harrison finds that 70% of her inquiries come from returning visitors. It'll show you how much more likely a returning visitor is to convert, how much of your conversions returning visitors have contributed to over any amount of time that you want to specify.
Oh, wow, that's good.
It's really good. And one thing I find with Needle above Aribi is it's much more instant to see this information. So Aribi is a bit more fun. So it sort of presents the analytics data in a way that is kind of cute and fun to look at. So it's quite enjoyable to use. Needle's a bit more scientific, but it is so insightful. And right now, for me, of all the things I look at, Needle is the one where I've seen the most interesting insights.
Okay.
So I recommend that everybody gives this a go. It's at needleanalytics.com. And right now, because it's quite a new platform, they just want users.
Yeah.
So it's free of charge.
Excellent. Well, I'll have to go and have a look. I don't really look at analytics for my website a lot because I don't really, I don't really get anybody inquiring through my website a lot. So I don't tend to look at I suppose if I was more interested in where my customers were coming from, if they were coming that direction, then that sounds like a great way of looking at it.
It is, and for us doing pay-per-click, the best place to go and look for ideas on what we can do next in pay-per-click is analytics. So when you get these little segments of data really quickly presented, and which are nice and crisp to read and to action, it just gives you lots of ideas. So an example of that is Needle will very quickly identify your demographic. So, it will say if most of the people using your site are male or female, this age group, that age group, but you'll also go deeper and it'll say lots of the people visiting your site are, for example, currently looking at other sites on web marketing. Or, someone who likes technology and new applications. I'm trying to profile you here. And maybe even an expat. So all these things will come up in your analytical data over time.
Yeah.
So if you're a brand new site, analytics isn't that insightful yet. It needs time to collect data. But if you've got a year's worth of data, say, then letting a tool like Needle or Aribi or any of the other ones out there just look at your data and present it to you in little actionable insights. It's a great place to just bounce web marketing from.
Yeah. I'm going to have a look now.
Well, you've got years worth of data.
Well, I changed my domain. I don't know how that affects it. Probably affects it. So it's probably a couple of years I've got.
Still good.
Yeah. Although I've got another website for my book formatting. That's 6 years worth. So
there we go. Just put it on there and play with it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh.
There we go. So what's your next app, Jo?
Okay, so I'll try and cut this long story short. Basically, over the last few weeks, and I wrote a blog post about this yesterday, had problems with my back, my neck, was in quite a lot of pain, sitting at a desk all day working. It has been a busy few months working. So been to the physio, the osteopath and what have you. And the osteopath decided, she told me that I had to start moving more. So her suggestion was to get up from my desk every half an hour for 5 minutes and have like a 5-minute break away from my desk, which sounds fine in principle. She said, it won't take much time out of your day, but actually when you add up those 5 minutes, it's quite a lot during the day. So I needed something to remind me to get out of my seat and stand up. So I was looking for a tool that would make a lot of noise. And I didn't want to use the Pomodoro tomato or whatever it's called, because I found that just a bit strange. So this app I found is called Awareness, and it basically tracks the time you spend on your computer, and then will like make a big gong noise when you spent that amount of time on your computer. So it reminds you to get up. I have changed mine to 45 minutes and for a 5-minute break, because half an hour I wasn't getting a lot of work done. But it has been working really, really well until you start ignoring it, or you hear it and you think, I'm going to get up now, and then you forget that you heard it, and then it gongs again 45 minutes later, and you think, oh no, I've been at my desk for an hour and a half now. But it is good, and as long as you don't ignore it like I have done a few times this week, it's good.
What's really funny here is because, as you know, I'm aware of this app. I'm aware of Awareness.
Yeah, you are.
And my first question was going to be, how many double gongs have you had?
I don't normally have any more than 2. I've not had any more than 2. It's 2. At the second one, it's like, well, I need to get up now, which I did today. I thought I'll have an early lunch because it's gone off twice.
Which I think is a good feature, because it gongs twice.
Yeah.
If you miss one, it does draw your attention more.
Yeah.
That second time.
Yeah. No,
have you had any 3 gongs yet?
No, I haven't had any 3 gongs yet. I'm not that naughty.
I am. But I think it's a great thing to have, because what we tend to do as computer-focused people, we sort of get in this subconscious trap where we're staring at a screen, and we don't realise what terrible posture we're currently in. Mm-hmm. And because our mind is the thing that's engaged, our body is sort of switched off, but it's caught in this horrible position.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think it's a great thing. I think it's helping you. by the sound of things, and it's helped me as well, because just like you, I've had my problems, which are largely IT related, and we all need that. We all need something to remind us the world is outside as well as on our screen.
Yes, that is true, isn't it? I think it was funny the other day when we were on a call together. Both our gongs went off within seconds of each other.
We were synchronized.
We were. That was quite funny.
Definitely so.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the other thing that I've done, which I may switch off, is I've set my iMac to tell me the time on the hour.
That sounds irritating.
Well, it's not too bad actually, because it's quite quiet, and I play music anyway, so you can't. It's not really loud. But when I was on a call the other day, my gong went off, and then the iMac said it's 6 o'clock, and I was like, oh no. Everyone thinks I must be a bit strange with all these things going off on my computer.
Well, what it's doing, Joe, it's bringing in your self-management, isn't it? It's your self-care as well.
Yes.
That's why it's important.
Exactly.
Because when we're a little bit younger, we don't need these things. But sooner or later, you imagine you've had 20 years of terrible posture over a computer.
Yeah, mine was 24
time.
years. 24.
There we go. 24 years, there we are.
Yeah.
You know, mine's probably some bigger figure, I don't know.
We're probably too much bigger.
Hopefully not. But, you know, I was a kid on the spectrum, so that's where it all began for me.
Oh, no, yeah, me too. Just remembered. And the Commodore 64.
Definitely. Those were the days. So where can we find awareness?
It's a bit of a long link. It's iamfutureproof.com/tools/awareness.
That is a long URL.
Yeah, I mean, I would just Google it, awareness app, and it'll come up. But you can also find a link to it from my recent blog post, which you can find on my website at joharrison.rocks.
Perfect. Far better place to visit.
Yeah, go visit my blog and read my blog. My whole blog about my back pain and stress.
There we go. And then from your app, which has a strange URL, I'm going to talk about one which has probably an even stranger URL.
Okay.
So this is another Google Analytics tool. And I keep recommending all these analytics tools because I don't think you can have enough views on your data. The answers to your online business live in the data.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's what I think. So this one is actually one offered by Google. And Google has a range of tools which are aimed at developers. And they're called Google Analytics Developer Tools. So instead of giving a URL for this particular app, the best thing to do is to just go on Google Analytics Developer Tools.
Yeah.
And this will give you a page to sign up with, connect your Google Analytics accounts to, and then you'll get a range of tools that you can use. Now, within those is one called a usage report. Mm-hmm. This is quite a new one. And what that does is the tool will take all of your analytical data and give you a trend report on the users on your website.
Okay.
And this trend report, you can look at all kinds of things. There's a whole drop down of options. So you can say, okay, how many desktop visitors do I get versus mobile over the last year? And is the trend moving more towards mobile or more towards desktop?
Yeah.
Is the trend on my positive actions moving more towards new visitors versus returning? And what you end up with are these really good graphs. And because it's a trend report tool, it's not giving you data which is relevant to the last 7 days or the last 30 days, which is how most of us look at analytics.
Yeah.
This is giving you data over a long time,
Okay.
over a year or more. So when we see a trend, we can then respond to it in a more strategic way. So if we see, for example, that mobile visitors are increasing in their trend on our website, then today there's not really too much more we can do to make an effect tomorrow. But what we can do in the midterm is say, right, let's go and make sure our website is as responsive as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
and take action in that sense. So whereas the previous tool, Needle, was really giving you insights that you can make very, very quick, actionable changes on, this one is a little different and it's giving you a trend data to base more strategic approaches to both web marketing and web development upon. So that's the second one. I think is go along, play with it, draw some pretty graphs and see what they tell you.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea. Again, it'll be interesting to see like sort of long-term data on my websites because, I generally only look at the last week or 30 days and it doesn't really give you a lot.
It does in the sense of what's happening right now, but it's very tough to get trends from that and to say, okay, is this affecting me?
Yeah, exactly.
Very good.
Brilliant.
There we are. So what's your favourite app, John? What's the top one of the month in time for Halloween weekend?
It has to be Station, of course.
Yeah, I have to agree on this one.
App of the month.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Within a couple of weeks, it's become a daily used app.
It is, yeah. It's the first thing I open in the morning, really, apart from my email.
There we go. I think that's the highest credit you're given any app on this show.
Exactly. You'll have to excuse the noise of my dog banging with his collar on.
Well, I'm going to let you go and deal with your dog with a collar on.
My name is Phil Byrne and I'd like to thank you so much for listening today. I hope you got something really good to take away from this week's episode for you or your business. And you know what? I'd like to give you something more. In fact, I'd like to give you a whole free web marketing pack full of all my latest and best ideas on how you can take your business forward positively online. Download your pack at positivesparks.co.uk/pack. And most of all, guys, look forward to seeing you again next week.